These recent chapters have been a blast. The mind games is something that I have missed a lot from the Promised Neverland. I mean, don't get me wrong, this arc has had a lot of mind games here and there, but this chapter and last chapter pretty much summarizes why I fell in love with the manga, and Lewis definitely has carried this arc. I say right now, like, many were, like, falling out of love with the Promised Neverland. Many were saying it wasn't as good as it once was, and in a lot of ways, I kind of agree. It was still a great, solid series, but it was losing what got me into it, which was that suspense, that tension, not really knowing what to expect, what could happen at any moment, any twist and turn. And this chapter and last chapter just represents what I think many of us love, and why many of us want an anime adaptation for this, which it is getting, by the way, if you still have yet to hear the news. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm pretty happy to see the way this chapter is done. Even though on paper it's simple, it'll be very quick to discuss, it was a fantastic chapter. So to get right into it, let's talk about feats for a second, okay? Now, as I've already mentioned in my last chapter review, feats, I have no problem with, but at the same time, though, sometimes feats can lead to some inconsistencies, which I mentioned in my last week's chapter review, with how Emma was able to sneak up on Lewis, and manage to electrify him like it was nothing. Now, like I said, yes, she surprised him, but at the same time, because of his speed and what was demonstrated to be able to, like, dodge bullets or grab bullets, it shows that he should be able to get out of it like it was nothing, but he didn't, which, like I said, was kind of inconsistent. And we get to see in this chapter, with a new feat that he shows, that he's able to actually push down and break a building. Now, this is believable in a way, because, I mean, for a man to be able to grab a bullet in midair, have the dexterity to grab a bullet or dodge a bullet and all that, and then also being able to regenerate and all sorts of stuff, him being able to break a building, it's not too far of a stretch. So I have no problem with that. I just do hope if they are going to do stuff like this, or if the writer is going to do stuff like this, that he remains consistent with the strength. Because now we know that, the demons, or at the very least demons like Lewis, are capable of tearing down buildings like it is nothing. Now, we don't really know exactly the reason why Lewis is this strong. Maybe all demons have this strength, or certain species or parts of demons have them, or how old you are determines how strong you are. We really don't know. It's not being clarified what, type of level of strength they have, their max limit or whatever, but now we do know that they are capable of breaking buildings, which is pretty freaking scary, because the buildings that were made for the children to stay in was obviously normal buildings you would see in everyday life, for instance, made out of brick, concrete, stuff like that, and they obviously weren't wood cabins, so what he broke in that moment was definitely not soft material whatsoever. I mean, even wood, it's still ridiculous if he was able to break wood, go straight through like logs and stuff, and then shove a building now, but we do know that most likely there was a lot of concrete, brick, and stuff all put together for those buildings, or that building he pushed down, so his strength is pretty freaking ridiculous. So it makes you wonder, how are you supposed to overpower this man? It also kind of throws out the window the whole fury with Adam I talked about a couple of weeks back. Now, FYI, to kind of, get you back up to speed if you don't know what I'm talking about, Adam is, the Norman clone, the dude that can't really speak well, and he was just, saying Norman's serial number over and over again, and then eventually he just wound up missing, like he's gone right now, nobody knows where he's at, and I talked about in that chapter that Adam could be a wild card to where he could pop up and restrain Lewis and hold him down, but now seeing the man's strength and how he's able to push down a building, I truly doubt that Adam has the capacity or the capabilities of holding Lewis down. I mean, maybe for a second as a surprise, but I mean, if the man is able to push a building, I highly doubt, even if you're a clone, that you're going to be able to just, hold a man like that back. Unless the clone that they made of Norman, this, Adam, how he's buff and all that, and has a lot of meat on his bones, unless he's full of muscle, like he's just straight up muscle, and the man's able to just, like, be a powerhouse, that's the only way I can believe it, because just now, I doubt Adam's going to be able to do much, even if he is to grab Lewis. Like I said, might be able to slow him down, but probably not much at all. Now, there is something, though, that did surprise me, and why I like this chapter a lot, and that is the flashbang. That was completely unexpected, but makes a lot of sense. And it's something that I think many of us did not think was going to happen at all. I mean, with the grenade being thrown, that was pretty explosive. The writer could have easily have made a huge explosion, made a beautiful panel, be like, yo, that's cool. And it also built up, his feats. Built up Lewis's feats of how he's able to regenerate through a grenade throw. Something like that could have been used for that scene. But the writer didn't do that. The writer instead decided to turn the grenade into a flashbang because that would be something that Lewis would never expect. I mean, I know for a fact I didn't expect it. I mean, when the grenade was thrown, I thought it was going to go off like a grenade, but then when it turned into a flashbang and blinded the man, I'm just like, whoa, that's pretty freaking impressive. That's something that, would catch me by surprise as well. And also, it's very believable, because from what we know from the demon's anatomy and all that, they do have eyes, they do see normally like we do, and so if we're going by their senses and what they have, that would mean that if a flashbang was to happen, it would also disorientate them as well. And that's kind of what happened. When the flashbang was thrown, it wasn't the fact that it was just like a distance away and it hit him in the eyes, it was the fact that it was like right in his face, it exploded, so you gotta imagine the sound, the shockwave of the sound and all that going into his ears with the blinding light right in his eye. It's going to make it where you can't see. Your overall sense of vision and just being able to function properly and stand is going to just drop. And that's what happened. He wasn't able to stand properly. You saw he was getting wobbly, how the man wasn't able to properly hear at the first few moments. He wasn't able to see at all. His mind was just completely fuzzy. But he was able to kind of get a grasp on things and kind of start to hear slightly. But at the same time, though, he still was very disorientated and couldn't do much, which leads into the surprise of this chapter. So, because of how desperate he was, he realizes how bad of a spot he was in, he used pieces of his broken mask to find out where Pepe was and attacked him. Now, that is what I respect a lot about this writer of The Promised Neverland. That is some consistency with that, because it makes sense. It's not something that falls out of the realm of, possibility. For instance, seeing how the man was able to grab a piece of his mask, he reached down, he knew where the mask was. If you were blind and your eyes are closed, and you knew your mask fell off your face, you would know that it's down below your feet, and if you reach down, you'd feel it. You would feel the pieces of the mask, and he grabbed the pieces of the mask, and because of his strength, his dexterity, which we've already seen demonstrated before he was able to push the wall, he was obviously able to throw it in different directions, and you throw anything at a certain amount of speed, it's going to be able to cut through you, and because of how fast he threw it, when it hit Pepe, it was the only person to get hit, he made a sound. He was like, oh, he got hit, and obviously if you get hit, you're going to make a sound, just common sense. And when he got hit, automatically, Lewis was able to realize where he was at, so it shows how skilled the man is. He attacked while completely blind, disorientated, not being able to stand properly, just attacked the man because he made an error. But at the same time, it is believable. So, just massive respect for the writer of The Promised Neverland just for that scene, because that is something I didn't think would be used, and it makes just logical sense, and you don't see a lot of writers use something like that, like a mask breaking and using the pieces of a mask to discover someone's location. Honestly, I think the last time I saw something like that made that much sense was Hunter x Hunter. I think that's the last shonen or manga I've read that made that much sense with the plan of thinking and trying to quickly think and fight back against an opponent. The last time I saw something like that was Hunter x Hunter. But getting back onto Lewis for a second, though, Lewis, he is single-handedly carrying this arc right now. He's carrying this arc on his shoulders. Hard carrying. I mean, this arc is great. It's got a lot of good details. But Lewis, as a character, has been spectacular. And I'm very worried if he is killed off this arc, could the writer top this villain? Because Lewis is very, very quirky, very unique, and he is someone that easily stands out amongst everything else we've gotten from the series. And he definitely would be a good, character to go up against Sungjo, I forget the dude's name. It was the demon that was introduced when they escaped the farm, the dude that actually wanted to hunt free-range humans, real humans that were not locked up in captivity. That was his main objective. That's why he helped out Emma's group. I feel like his motivation, what he would want, would completely conflict with what he's currently doing, what Lewis is currently doing. For instance, trying to kill off Emma and stop the chances of having free-range humans. I feel like Sungjo and all that, he would probably fight Lewis because of just how he feels about the situation. And I feel like there's just a lot of potential for the character to not be killed off, to continue to be, relevant and reoccurring character in the story. I just hope he isn't killed off because he's really cool. But that's pretty much about it. I mean, the man with no name, or Voldemort, he popped up, obviously, and, he shot the mask off, he tried to reposition, but even then, Lewis is able to block his shots, so it's not going to be that simple. There's definitely going to be a lot more things that need to be done to be able to take this man down, and I believe there's going to have to be sacrifices. Someone's probably going to have to sacrifice their life to distract the man before he could be brought down. But that's about it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please, click the bell icon down below. Because for some reason, even if you click the subscribe button, you still don't get notified for when a video is uploaded. So if you do want to get a definitive notification, then like I said, click the bell icon down below. With that, guys, I love you. I wish you a great night or day wherever you live. Chibi out.